Welcome to the Reinvent You show. I'm George.
I'm Azlan. It's about seeing everyday challenges
Differently.
What's been happening this week is really interesting. I've been having nightmares 3 days in a row about people robbing me. And I mapped it out this morning and I went, okay, what's going on here? Because this is a recurring theme. It's always in this house. And so it always involves multiple people robbing me. And I was trying to map it out and I realized it all came down to the lack of control, the fear of, not having control. And I looked back at my week and I was, how did I feel this whole week? One of the things that happened was,
you failed the whole week. What is that?
Not failed.
Sounds dramatic.
But I felt four things where I sort of lost control of my diet. So, I had friends over from Malaysia come down and I've been eating nonstop. Then there was a birthday, so I haven't been going to the gym as often. So I felt like I've gained weight and eating unnecessary foods, and stuffing myself. And that felt like I didn't have control of my body. And then I felt like I didn't have control of my alcohol consumption because obviously all these parties and it was just alcohol after alcohol. And I just sort of felt like I can't control it. I think on Sunday I was drinking from 11 till 10 p.m. So just beers.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You must have had a ball.
I did, but I think...
I did.
Oh man, I was plastered at 10 o'clock, completely
at
plastered.
Night.
And I had to take the day off on Monday just to recoup from the weekend. And then the other one that I felt like I lost control over was, I think work, there's this, the whole thing that I'm doing with this stuff that I'm doing. It's just so many things that I have to do. So I feel like I've lost control. Anyway, long story short, I looked at the patterns and I went, okay, and I used to bash myself for that, but now I'm sort of, it's okay. My dreams are just telling me, I truly believe that my dreams are telling me things that I need to own up. Feelings that I try to park because I'm always trying to be positive. And every time there's a negative feeling, I'll be like, it's okay. It's going to be all right. And the dreams always tell me what my core emotion or concern is. It always highlights that for me. And so now I can map back and go, okay, it's okay. Getting control. And then I looked at all the things that I got, that everything that's working fine and managed to soothe myself. Oh, and the last one that I felt was out of control was the fact that I'm not walking and doing my affirmations anymore. And it's really interesting. On Saturday, I woke up in the morning and I didn't feel like I wanted to go for my walk. I felt like it became a ritual now as opposed to a genuine good feeling process. It's like when you're praying 5 times a day, the joy is gone. It's just, I'm walking for the sake of, I said I was going to walk every morning. So then I decided, you know what? I'm not going to walk. What do I feel like? I feel like sitting in the car and drinking my coffee. So I sat in the car, windows down at the cul-de-sac and that felt great. But the idea that you have to do something to feel good, it got me thinking about more feeling based now. What feels good for me to do now, as opposed to doing it as a form of a ritual. You go surfing every day at 5, eventually you're not going to have fun anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think that initially when we come up with these things to do, it's to create some form of momentum that doesn't exist into a different mindset. But once you've achieved that, you need to look at the next scaffolding you're going to create for the next thing you want to build discipline for. Because remember, you're not doing it for the practice. You're doing it for the meaningfulness of what should be on the other side of it, And if it has a long shelf life, in other words, if you keep finding yourself getting benefits from any kind of practice, then you ride it as long as you can. But the moment it starts to lose meaning,
innovate.
You need to unpack and find out why, and then innovate. What is it about it you need to change, evolve, or even pack more meaning into it, and then suddenly you're happy to do it again because you see more value in why you're doing it.
That's a good point. I feel that I'm on that journey now with just feeling good, and I'm just really glad that there are certain things that I can look at in my life and go, I'm in control. That one there is fine, And then there's the self-hating has gone down tremendously. I'm like, it's okay. I see you. I feel you. What can we do now? We have to innovate. Okay, what can we do now? So no longer beating myself up on it. Even the dreams, I used to beat myself up on it. Why am I dreaming this? I had a great week, But
do you know when we look at what motivates us, we do seem to use fear a lot, like negative stuff, like what's wrong with me? I'm failing, not good enough. I'm going to have to work hard or something. That's fear-based motivation. But love-based motivation is like, oh my gosh, I want that experience. I want that achievement. I want that adventure. I want that next level of engagement. And so you aspire, you're driven by the pleasure of becoming something. And if we spend a lot of our life using like a toolkit, leaning for the negative to motivate instead of the positive, it can be habitual. And I think culturally, we have used fear-based because it's primal. You know what I mean? Like the brain does respond to primal. So if you scare it and make it feel like we're doomed if we don't do something, and you almost propaganda against your brain, making it feel like it better release motivation chemicals into the body because it feels like it's threatened,
What's a good example of a fear-driven task as opposed to a love? Like,
yeah, like some people will, if they're playing a piano, they will literally hit their hand and hurt themselves every time they make a mistake. Yeah.
Instead of playing the track that you love.
No, I'm talking about, say you're playing something and you make a mistake. You hurt yourself because you think your brain, not wanting pain, is going to focus better and get it right quicker.
Oh my gosh. That is bizarre.
But that's an example.
Right. So using fear to get better.
Yeah. I want to be the best dad because I don't want to be told that I didn't measure up as a dad and be embarrassed and feel the shame of letting down my family. That's fear-based.
Got it. But that's a good example.
Versus, I just love being a good dad. I just love my son. I just want to keep enjoying finding new ways to deepen the connection and create opportunities,
So wouldn't that build so much resentment in you, though? I mean, imagine if that was your driving factor of being a good dad, and then you're saying, I want to be a good dad because I don't want to be shamed. I don't want to. What?
It's a lower bar, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It doesn't feel nice.
It doesn't engage the heart as much, and I don't think it's sustainable. It's draining. It will get you to achieve, but it doesn't feel as meaningful because you didn't build it on the preciousness of connection. You built it on the fear of disconnection.
Judgment.
Yeah, the fear of disconnection. It's like instead of deciding that you are connected and you can enjoy belonging, you're always fighting, feeling like you have to, jump through the hoops just to be accepted and approved of. It's all fear.
How do you move from that to love-based? That's your own journey, isn't it? To figure out what motivates me, what gives me purpose in being a good dad,
Well, I think, do you feel like you're on that journey? Like you're starting to be less motivated by fear and more by meaning?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, yes, but I've not really, for me, my motivating factor is being the best that I can be and not necessarily worrying about the judgment or being shamed because, I do a lot of stuff on Instagram that arguably, you can say, Azlan, what are you doing with your life? But it's never, but for me, it's more now like trying to find that love-based, how can I enjoy this? Like at the gym, how can I enjoy this? Or, this stuff that we're doing, how can I enjoy this? And it's more about, how can I enjoy something as opposed to somebody's going to hit me if I don't do it, but and it's a really weird balance between that and self-hating. I feel like self-hating and that it's hard.
They don't fit together, surely.
No.
It means that you deserve to enjoy. It means you can't really self-hate. Self-hate is the loop of the negative fear-based motivation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's like you better get your act together. Otherwise, you're nothing. You're nothing, Azlan. Nothing.
I was having a good chat with my friend the other day about self-hating and why we do it and what motivates us to go that in that direction as opposed to, self-love. So it was very interesting to see that, a lot of people in my culture, there's a lot of, you got to get this, otherwise you're not good enough, and so there's always that sort of pattern happening. But
got an itchy nose. I'm not picking mine, it's okay, for the record. Well, no, I think you were onto something there. I think that's really important because a lot of people, including us, we don't know sometimes where we're operating from. And maybe it's good to fine tune the radar around, am I coming from the heart and thriving, or am I just tricking an opportunity into survival so I can be motivated and engaged because I have to, because I'm nothing and I'll get punished if I don't measure up.
Yeah. I think being able to get to that step as well. I remember a long time ago, 20 years ago, when I came to the realization that, you know what? I'm doing things because I'm fearing judgment, especially back in the uni days.
Yeah.
Moving to the part where you go, okay, how do I love myself? I remember thinking, what can I do now that I like? And I came up blank. And I remember I said, you know what? I'm going to make myself a cup of tea because that felt like.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. And then,
I'll make a cup of tea.
But that was how clueless I was about the concept of self-love and following your heart.
That's really telling, isn't it? Yeah. Like when our brain is wired to serve
others.
Yeah, our culture, our parent expectations. Peer
expectations was my driver.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. My parents didn't really care about what I got at school, but the fact that you wanted to be, for me.
That's rare for an Asian background.
Yeah, my mom, because she was put under those pressures to be a doctor. So she said, I'm not going to do that to you. So you do whatever you want. But still, the fact that she's a doctor and my friends all had expectations of each other. We're going to be the best. And we would say, oh, that guy is just not going to class and not doing anything. He's failing. And so you put this unnecessary pressure on yourself to just keep pleasing your peers, which is bizarre, but that was what happened. And I remember thinking, gotta be the best, whether it's partying or school. I gotta be the best in both, And then I lost myself along the way. And I was like, what do I even like to do? I remember asking myself that question and I went, I don't know.
It's almost as if you had to introduce yourself to choices for you without anyone else being the part of the approval system. And that was so novel for you because your mind was blank in the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
But
I wonder how many people right now are listening going, do I do that? I think I do that. Can I think of something right now? Oh shit, I'm going blank. Damn.
Yeah. And I'm not surprised either. And don't be so hard on yourself because I remember that cup of tea was like, I don't even know what I like to do. It's never crossed my mind. But that cup of tea led me to a whole series of reading books, burning incense sticks, going out for walks, lying down in the park. I started building on that. Like, what else do I like to do? Oh, I like to go here. I like to do this.
Did you find a pattern with the things you were choosing?
Yes.
They were to chill the F out and a cup of tea, sit in the park is like, oh, I'm sick of go, go, go.
It was. And I would sit in the park and I would touch the ground.
Yeah.
I would just lie down.
Cool grass.
I had to be on the grass.
Yeah.
I can't put a mat there between me and the grass.
Yeah.
I had to be, for me, it was my grounding.
Yeah.
I did that for a good 2 years.
Wow.
I was in the park just feeling release and I would sleep on with my, like this, just lying down, sleeping on the grass. But I'll go to a secluded area where there's no one and I'll just lie there and just look up in the sky and fall asleep there every Saturday, Sunday. And I realized now I was like, I can't see myself doing that now. But at the time, remember, it was life-giving. It would literally gave me life. I had to do it. It felt like a dog that's been in the house for so long, and then you go out and then you just feel free. And I remember just feeling free, just sleeping on the grass with my clothes on, not caring about anything in the world. My friends would beat me on my phones and stuff, and I'm like, don't care. And I would just have that time to myself. And it used to be my thing. And now. But that it built. After that, it was like reading books. Okay, what can I do now? Oh, let's read about this. Let's do this. And so it's sort of built from that cup of tea.
You had to teach yourself how to serve you.
It's a bizarre concept for a lot of us.
Yeah, no, I know. It's actually, it hits home how much pressure there is to outwardly serve, which is noble, nice. But did we ever have a sustainability policy in place? No. Culture doesn't talk about the sustainability policy. But I must admit, I reckon cultures kind of sneak in little things to try to balance it out. Otherwise, a culture out of balance will collapse. So often when you study anthropology, sociology, you'll notice there are counterbalances that are accepted, but it's almost like just structured for you. It's not for you to decide what suits you as an individual. It's just some form of platform to counterbalance. And I know it's acceptable that, you know, Japanese men can have concubines. Because isn't that interesting? It's like they work so hard and they're so selfless. They should have some immoral indulgence that will make moral, will culturally make it, you just turn the other way and accept it. There's some form of benefit to it.
You got me thinking about Muslims and how Malaysians, they allow Muslim men to have 4 wives. Maybe that's the counterbalance of, you know, that social structure of men has to work and women, you know, work at home.
Yeah.
So you have the 4 wives.
Yeah. I haven't really thought about that much, but I did think about the status of being financially wealthy. And that I think that culture has this sense of being impacted by those that are financially wealthy to kind of shape the customs to suit their own needs. It's like if you can afford 4 wives, then it's legitimate, which means it's about the money. It's about being able to provide for all of them. But having said that, I don't know whether it was coded disruptive quotes like, if you can give 4 wives equal love, then you can have 4 wives. But the truth is you can't love 4 wives equally, which means the quote was coded with catching out the hypocrisy. But unfortunately, if you just interpret it literally and just force the context of financial wealth that I can love them equally financially, you can get away with the indulgence of having 4 wives. And then you've got wives who want that, you know? You've got wives who go, I'm perfectly happy, you know, and we get together. It's like, yeah, that's true. Anyone can make a situation work creatively. Anyone can synthesize and, you know, see the silver linings and then build on it and then build a whole set of rules around how multiple wives engage with each other to be harmonious.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I know in Malaysia, because I hang around with people who have, you know, whose fathers got 4 wives.
Yeah.
The rich guys, the 2 observations, the rich ones usually downsize their wives.
They get wise in the end. They go through I want many. Maybe I don't.
Yeah. And then I asked this question. I was noticing. I said, how do they figure out where to downsize? Like, what's the criteria?
Probably the headaches. How many headaches they get every day.
There was one person the partner was so easy, so chilled and happy, even though he was spending more time with the first wife. She was like number 3, and she was always happy. Like even when she came down, she didn't give him any stress whatsoever. She herself was mentally healthy, and the second one was a bit hysterical. And he gravitated towards her, even though she didn't want him around as much. It's like, okay, don't worry, just go at your first wife and figure out your kids. And she was sort of like, no, don't worry, everything's fine. And then he eventually moved in with her because she had this positive vibe. So,
maybe she used reverse psychology.
Maybe. But I've seen her and she was really nice. Like it was really weird. I was like, you know,
she was content.
Yeah,
with her secret lover.
It wasn't a secret. Kidding. But yeah, the second wife, when they married, the third one went hysterical at the wedding. Like hysterical. The second, not the first wife.
The second went hysterical at the third.
The third
marriage.
Wedding. Yeah.
But that's a bit hypocritical, isn't it?
It's too complex for me. So
and also, like, what are we talking about? Are we gossiping right now?
I think so. Yeah.
Look at us gossiping.
No, I'm trying to figure out the idea of the culture bit. I want to ask you about your culture because did you have any stress sort of placed on you from your culture or expectations of who you should be? What is your culture?
So you got the
Australian?
you got the Lebanese background that influenced me a lot. It was a Christian Lebanese, so I guess it had its own differences than the Lebanese Muslim.
Right.
There was a lot of weird superstitious stuff. I don't know why I'm telling you this because it seems weird, but like, don't have your shoe, the sole of the shoe, facing up to God. It's disrespectful.
I have not heard of that one.
So if you take your shoes off and one of them flips the wrong way, you have to flip it back. Otherwise, you could have lightning strike you.
This is a Lebanese one.
Well, I don't know if it's...
I need to Google this.
I don't know if it's just Lebanese. It could be that the region, lots of countries in that region. But yeah, man, that affected me. Because even when
the shoe.
Now, listen, what I'm saying is, even when I outgrew the superstition, my subconscious was still just hedging the bets. Go, look, it doesn't. Just flip it over.
That is so funny. That is hysterical. Like, that's about cats. Black cats, if they cross you, it's bad luck. Or, I remember sweeping your house out the front door on Chinese New Year. Oh my God. I did that. And my grandmother exploded. I was trying to clean up the house. I was taking a broom.
Yeah, and why? Why was that?
It's like sweeping out the luck for the whole year.
Oh.
So it's like cursing your whole family.
So you need to keep the dirt around?
No, you have to just put it in and then throw it in the bin in the house. Because the thing was, our house back in the village, it had massive doors. And it was open like that. So everyone's like, clean up the house, everyone. Our guests are coming. Yeah. So I was just sweeping. I was too lazy to... the door is wide open.
You just swept the whole luck out of the whole house for the whole year.
That's right.
Man, that's reckless. That's reckless shit.
I'm still triggered by that.
You're triggered. Are you triggered by ruining your family for a year with no luck? Or by the way your grandma reacted? Both.
Both. But more by my grandma. So traumatized me. Don't do it. And then you're wondering now, like, what else can I do in this house? Like, what else is taboo, So I asked my mom to list down all the taboo things,
Yeah. Just to cut, it's kind of like trauma mitigation.
Yeah. But in terms of culture, it was always the typical stuff, in Asian cultures. Doctors don't embarrass you.
Yeah. There was a lot of pressure on us to be very people pleasing. And I
think that's global.
Yeah, but to the point of being two-faced. Like, if you would go and visit people, right? And if they weren't there, you would leave like a flower or something on their screen door from their garden.
Wow.
And it was so that you had evidence that you did them a favor and came and visited them and that they owe you now. Like, they did you a favor. They came, they were kind, they were visiting you, they made an effort. And so then they claim it. They go, oh yeah, that was our flower. We came on this day, right? And it gets worse. If you have an appointment and you're going somewhere, if they come and visit you just as you're leaving, you're supposed to just
stay,
invite them in, spend half an hour. Then the unspoken code is you make them a coffee. And that coffee means it's time to go. We've got stuff on. But you don't say you got stuff on.
What culture is this? Aussie?
Lebanese.
Oh, Lebanese. Wow, that is so interesting. I love these things.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
But what about social pressures? Do you have social pressures to become, I don't know, what do Lebanese people do?
Oh, yeah. So all the, and I'm sure this is similar with, Asian and all that. Yeah. It's like all the parents are competing to have their children make them proud.
Yes.
Amongst each other. So they've got really cool conversations about, oh, my son did this, my daughter's doing this.
That's right.
And yes, the professions are the number one. Oh, he's going to be a doctor, a lawyer, all this sort of stuff. But then they flip it into, oh, well, we're modern parents and we're supporting our child's pursuit of the arts or this, and, you you got to do what's right by your child. Like suddenly they take the modern angle that they're
After traumatizing you for 20 years.
they're up there. Well, they just have to adapt because they still have to compete. So they have to create a new context for them to be, relevant and winning.
It is so interesting. I've seen people flip by watching modern series, like, Modern Family. I've actually seen a parent who's about 60 now completely flip the ideas of gays and, like what a modern family should be.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see that, a person can be trained, especially if they love the show and they can see the hypocrisy in their ways of.
That's right. Those shows give you enough step-by-step context to step you down an alley you can't turn from, where you become attached to a person and their struggles and their quest for love, and then suddenly you quickly put them into a position where they're getting persecuted for what they can't control because it's very clever.
Very, very
it's
clever.
Like social engineering, like shows socially engineer because they're teaching deeper, more sophisticated contexts of, but there's gray area. What, you can't just black and white this. What about this situation? What about that situation? Can you find the empathy? Can you find the compassion, the tolerance? And I really do like that. But I also know a lot of shows try to social engineer government type of stuff. Like you have to trust your government blindly. The American Constitution is an inconvenience because it lets criminals hide behind the Constitution. Like all this, like what do they call those NCIS?
Oh, NCIS
and Law and Order and all that. You watch them constantly; they're dropping in that they're trying to catch the criminals, but they keep being hamstrung because
the Constitution.
Yeah, and certain laws and stuff are in the way. It's actually very interesting.
I did not know that. My wife would probably know that. She watches a lot of Law and Order. Well, back in the day.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So it was very. The culture thing has been really, for me anyway, where like we talk about, like at what point does it become propaganda? When you look at the shows, social engineering versus propaganda. Like it's a fine line. I don't know.
No. That's a good point. Social engineering is like, can we make a society more tolerant to each other? Make the family stronger, because if there's a child that's gay, can the parents suddenly see it differently, more balanced, and support the child, and not get whipped up in their own cultural judgments. But then when there's national ideology that they're trying to enforce top down, that really is less about the well-being of the people but more about being controlled, that's kind of interesting. That's I would put that in the propaganda bucket.
It's hard. Like you said, we have to have critical thinking and really sit down and go, is that true? What is this? What does this show mean to me?
Yeah.
And really question that, and not just like ChatGPT sort of thing, where you just go, is this really the answer? Or is this the answer you want me to hear?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
And you go, I don't know if this answer is legit because of these reasons. Oh, my bad. You're right. It's like, oh God. It's like you're just a mirror to what I want to feel, and just to promote engagement. Like there's no soul. It's just pattern matching algorithms trying to, expand engagement as long as possible.
It's like the ultimate people pleaser.
Yeah. Soulless people pleaser. Oh my gosh, he's having a...
No, I'm just thinking about people pleasing and how I've struggled.
I know, I saw that in your eyes. And you go, what am I? Just this soulless AI algorithm? Is that all I become?
Chat Azza. That's dropped significantly in the last 10 years. The people pleasing aspect of, I think, all of us raising our child. I mean, it starts from at home.
Yeah.
Right?
Look, once again, can't flush the baby out of the bathwater. Pleasing people is a part of the joy of life. But people pleasing label is different. It means you have to ignore your own needs to be pleased. and that you have to make it the responsibility of everyone else to please you, like you're making it your responsibility to please everyone else. The problem with that is you've lost the advantage of you being the closest to you, which means you know day to day what's important to you. You know where you're putting your resources and when you're tired and when. So for you to then feel victimized because people aren't there for you in the right timing and with the right support, that is almost like self-sabotage. Because you wake up, you got a lot on, and there's a lot of people that would really need your help, but you don't know because you just got a lot of stuff to do. And then suddenly someone's upset with you, and then you find out that you missed a cue, you missed an opportunity to be there for them when they were hinting or something, but you were just a little bit flustered and didn't think it was a big deal and you were busy. And all of a sudden you feel guilty because they feel righteous that you should feel guilty for not being dialed into their needs.
That is very, very telling, because I remember thinking, this person says that I'm selfish, but the fact that you want me to act in a certain way for you, isn't that selfish on your side? Like,
or manipulative.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, how do I tell? It's okay when there's just one, well, not really okay, but I was an ultimate people pleaser. So I had a lot of people coming to me within like a week. Like 5 or 6 people. One person needed emotional support. One person needed me to party with him. One person needed, it was so hard, like for me to go, how do I say no? Number one, that was number one. And then how do I prioritize? I remember thinking in my head when I was like 21, how do I figure this out? Because I need to stop. Yeah. It's too much. I was getting tired from listening to this person, just be in this negative state, going through a breakup at the time. And then this person wants me to drink every Friday and bust my kidney. And I was even having trouble walking upstairs because my kidneys would hurt from drinking so much. That was how bad it was. So it was adversely impacting my health, my mental health, my physical health. And I did not know how to say no. And then I did the counterbalance thing where I just shut off my phone for 2 weeks.
The ghoster.
Now
we know why people ghost.
Yeah.
It's because they don't know how to communicate and represent themselves in a negotiation.
Yes.
So they just shut out and just head in the sand and just hope it will all just wash away, that you'll forget about them because they're just exhausted. Can I do a shout out for all the ghosters and make a confession that I judged you? I was so offended by how you ghosted me, and it turns out you were in a downward spiral, and it was just your desperate way of coping. You just tapped out, and you were just so raw and exhausted, and you just had to numb yourself from someone saying, "Hey, I really love you. Why aren't you responding? It matters to me."
Oh, I copped a lot of flack. So
they're the blowback.
Yeah, they were like, "How come, Azlan, you never respond? Oh, what's going on?" Like,
it's the ultimate abandonment.
It is.
But see the counterbalance. Extreme people pleasing depletes you to the point of you have to be extremely uncaring.
Yes.
So you go from extremely caring to them and extremely uncaring to yourself, to extremely caring for yourself and extremely uncaring for them. That is just a toxic swing where no one wins, because you don't want to be that ghoster, but you feel like you got no choice. And you don't want to be, you don't want to be used up either.
The funny thing was, that's at the end of the 2 weeks, I came out with a plan to set my boundaries.
Oh.
The only problem was
plot thickens.
I went to the extreme with the negative person.
Yeah.
I remember calling that person and saying, "Hey, you know what? I can't listen to your stuff anymore. You're just too negative. I can do without you. So good luck."
He went from levels of kindness that are ridiculous to levels of unkindness that are ridiculous. I fire you from my life.
That's right. Until today, I have not spoken to this person.
Oh, that's so sad.
But that person's got a different life now, which is, I mean, after that call, that person always had a different group of friends anyway. So I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, whatever helps you sleep at night.
Whatever else we sleep.
But look, seriously, I had to learn the hard way.
Oh, you had trouble drawing boundaries too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And I was just finding myself on the phone for long periods of time with certain people. It took a while for me to get enough awareness, not just to represent me better, but to represent ways to deal with it out of the extremes. It took a while because we're not raised. People are not modeling it.
What was your extreme?
My extreme. Like I struggle to say no.
So then what's your counterbalance? Do you ghost? Not ghost, or you just, was there a counterbalance for you?
Yeah, good point. I took longer to respond. I would respond more briefly. It was a passive aggressive, just trying to maneuver someone away from you slowly. I remember there's this girl that really liked me when I was in my early 20s. But my heart was elsewhere. But she like ticked the boxes, good looking and all these things. And I'm going, why? I'm single. Why am I? I'd broken up with the other girl for many months. So I'm single. Why don't I give it a go? So I kissed her and I didn't really feel the excited passion of the kiss, but it was because I committed in my mind, okay, I'm going to give this a go. Ticks the boxes, right?
Right.
And then for 2 weeks, I kept making excuses to stay away from her.
Oh.
So during apparently us being together, I physically couldn't bring myself to be with her. And then after 2 weeks, she says, this is not working out, is it?
The ultimate ghosting.
And I went, no, it isn't. It isn't. I just can't force this. I just can't do it.
Right.
And that's one way I was dealing with it. Another way is financially, I used to throw money at people thinking I'm saving them.
Ooh, tell me more.
Well, it's just that if they cried poor, they couldn't afford something, I just splurge. I just put the money in. But I remember one lady I was working with in radio, she always seemed to be short of cash and she'd pay you back, but then she'd be short of cash again. And then one day I gave her like over $1,000 and then she paid it back. And then another day she asked me if she can talk to me. This was a month later. Oh, George, I'm in this situation and my family and my son and my husband and financial. And she framed everything to make me feel like I was saving her family by giving her money. I wrote a check off a line of credit. I wasn't cashed up, even though I was earning good money. And I think I gave her $7,000, and then the second time, $13,000. And it all added up to $23,500. And then I found out that I was the one hit 10 times more than anyone else, but she was secretly borrowing money off other people because she was a compulsive gambler.
Oh, no.
And she was getting her monthly wage going downstairs to the poker machines in New South Wales, in Sydney, down and pumping in 4.5 hours her entire monthly wage to the poker machines, right? And she ended up going bankrupt, so I got paid nothing back. I had $23,500.
That was an expensive lesson.
It was, but I made it a good lesson. I'll explain that later. But crocodile tears used to affect me a lot if someone was crying. It's like I couldn't handle upset people. It's like I had to be responsible for everyone just being happy all the time. It's ridiculous. She wasn't even family. Anyway, you know what her name was? Penny. Is this a script?
Pennywise.
Was this Penny Pincher?
Penny Pincher. yeah, the opposite.
Well, what are the chances? Is this written
Was
for
meant
me?
to be. Yep.
Am I in? What's that show?
For sure.
What's that show, that movie that was made where...
Final Destination?
No. Jimmy Carrey's in it.
Liar, Liar.
No, it was... it's a made-up reality.
The Truman Show.
I felt like I was in the Truman Show and people just planted characters and made it obvious with names. Anyway, Penny Pincher. But what I did was at that point is something it was like a crisis for me to lose that much money and realizing I wasn't going to get it back. And I remember going into a trance at my desk at work, and this is what came to me. You will not get a cent from a compulsive gambler. She won't break the habit. She won't get disciplined in time.
Yep.
She's just going to downward spiral. Your money's gone with her, which means right now you have to take full ownership to get that money back yourself by you going to another level.
Ooh, what was that level?
Well, I was in radio, so I actually created a proposal to restructure my salary. You see, it happened under their watch. I could have sued them because managers knew she was a gambler and she was taking money from them. They should have immediately realized this was a compromise to all the staff in that area. So they would have paid me back if I really wanted to. But something told me, for some reason, I didn't want to be a victim that went and didn't want and not take responsibility for the fact that I parted with the cash. You know what I mean? So I restructured my income and I said, I want to be able to exceed my budgets. And if I exceed my budgets, I want to be able to earn this much because it's only a small percentage of the money I make for you. But this is because I want to pay myself back for the big loss from the staff member. They exploited me. And I'd like you to entertain, because they were always haggling with you to try to give you less, even though you gave them a lot of money in booking, advertising and all that with clients. And it was really annoying. And I thought, no, how about you care and stop haggling with me? Give me a decent margin, a few percent more. It makes no difference to you because I will promise I will go to another level and make you even more money.
Yep.
So I did the structure, and you know what? Someone who years earlier didn't even want to hire me, and it was other people that said, no, we think this guy will work out. He didn't even want to hire me, right? And he's the one that said, you know what, George, not only do I approve that, but if you get your budgets exceeded, but, in 3 months, we're also going to give you on top a quarterly bonus of this percent.
Wow, right.
And
you negotiated your way.
I literally paid myself back in 12 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
The art of negotiation.
Yeah, I wished that I was that kind of a negotiator as a default position, but I wasn't. It was only during crisis that instinct to dig deep and go, I'm going to leverage where I'm at to go to another level. And I wonder for us, like now my default is negotiation.
Not for me.
Well, that could be huge for you, Azlan, because negotiation is a wonderful thing. It's about win-win.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it effectively. Arguably, I've got a lot of skills. I've got a lot of friends who we are in good positions. But I never really thought of negotiating. I don't even know where to start. Maybe this is something I want to learn this year, maybe. Something just being good at it or even trying. I mean, I've had 2 or 3 negotiations at work. Way back in my early career, I remember my first negotiation, I was so nervous. I was trying to get a raise from 70 to 90 grand as I think second year of working. And I just said, look, I gathered all of the data of I got people to sign papers to say, Azlan, they rated me on a scale, and I brought that to the manager during my performance review, and she was a bit shocked that I actually got everyone to write that. And now that everyone's written that, all of her clients, wrote that, and she said, give me 5 minutes. Let me ask the boss. She went out. She came in, said, you got it. And I remember going to the lift, I was screaming with joy. I just got a 20K raise. It was my second year of working.
But tell me, what was burning you to do it right and give yourself a chance to go to 9? Was it because financially you were compromised and you were desperate?
Yes. So my father
that's the same. It's a crisis thing.
My father went bust, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to work, and so I had to figure out a way to get the money and pay the rent and stuff and buy my food and pay the bills. And so I had to figure out a way.
It was survival.
It was definitely survival. But when like now, like if everything is good, but why am I not doing it? Because it's bizarre.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, it's like, what satisfies us, and why is survival the only thing that motivates us? Why can't we love? We're coming full circle here. Why can't we just love going to another level? and enjoy the journey and adventure? Why does it always have to be because we just have to, because we won't survive?
It's a hard question because I don't even know why. It's just by default,
Yeah, but I think it's probably because we are only reacting to circumstances, and our DNA for survival kicks in, and our brain operates at an optimal level to get us out of danger. And so that process could be engaged from the heart. You see, the stronger you make your decisions to have an extraordinary life, and you feel it in your heart, and you decide your heart will decide what makes life meaningful. If it becomes strong enough, then it becomes the boss of your brain. Now, imagine this, Azlan. Imagine your brain is afraid of your heart and will do what your heart wants. But, caveat here, not to be reckless, not to have a heart that wants to go, I just want to go and spend all my money.
I want to buy a $10,000 shoe and then just.
Yeah, that's not really heart. That's probably ego, isn't it? And status and all that. I'd say life meaningful, as in where you are in a sustainable value exchange.
Right.
If you make your heart like completely the boss that says, I will not tolerate unsustainable value exchanges. Because remember we talked about win-lose is lose-lose in the end.
Yeah.
So we have to fight for win-win. Win-win is not survival. It's the joy of thriving where everything gets easier. You're achieving more. There's more synergy. There's more creativity. There's more adventure, more deep satisfaction. And therefore, negotiation becomes that tool you reach for because it becomes important, because it's about let's find a way. Let me understand you deeply. Let me help you and let me help me understand me deeply. Because if we understand each other deeply, we'll know what matters to each other a lot. And if we do, if we get there, then we can represent that and then look at for solutions and ideas to kind of create a win-win between us. But how many times in negotiation do you notice it's tit for tat? It's like, I want. No, we can't give that. We can't give that. But I really want. And I don't know if I can stay here. Well, we'll give you 10% of what you're asking because we're strapped. That kind of negotiation has got no creativity, no leaning in on what is it you really want so that we can give you what you really want without our limitations. Like, I'll give you an example. For me, I didn't want to be in radio anymore. I was bored out of my brain. I said to them, guys, look, seriously, I can do this job, but I want to do it in 3 days. I can do it in 3 days, right? I'll cut down my 2-hour lunches and they're gone because I have to do it in 3 days. But I can stay here and you can keep me bringing in the big bucks on my client portfolio that I built from scratch, right? I'll keep doing it, but I can do it in 3 days, not 5, because I'm bored. Otherwise, I'm going to resign. And I wasn't bluffing. You see, I didn't accept boredom anymore. I accepted I deserved better than just being slave to a job that was not feeding me, not stimulating me. And they told me to keep it quiet. They said they'd never given this opportunity to anyone, but they were going to give it to me. And they did. So I was working 3 days and earning the same amount of money.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. But then I outgrew it 6 months later and left anyway. But the point is, how many things can we negotiate properly? But the key, like, when you said before, I don't know how to do it. I'll tell you how to do it. Go deeper into what are they really valuing from you and what's really important to them and their situation.
Right.
If you don't go deep into that, you won't know how to come up with compelling value to them that gives you genuine bargaining chips to then get them to justify reciprocation.
Right.
See, if I make something so compelling to you, you're salivating, you're going to have a lot less resistance when I say, yeah, but I can give you this, but I need this. And I think you can give me this because we can do it this way. And that makes it easy. And you go, you're right. Shut up and take my money. like I love that phrase, shut up and take my money, because it It's the phrase that says you've just landed on value exchange that's such a no-brainer bargain that I have no defenses left. I'm going to give you what you want because I'm so into what you can give me. But it comes from understanding.
It really centers around this sustainable value exchange, doesn't it? Like
It
I
does.
give you
It's
this.
not a gimmick. It's not a
It's
gimmick.
not a gimmick. It's about getting the most for the both of you in that situation. So the trick that I find difficult now is at my existing place when I'm working, they are used to Azlan being this efficient, let's say. There is no more that I can provide them from a point of building relationships and doing projects unless I move out and say to the new company, guys, I want this dollars and this is what I can do and this is what I've done. That's the only, I mean, in a situation like that, it is hard to negotiate when the best is now the expectation.
Yeah, but the best expectation still has a bargaining chip of consistency of it's an output. It still can be quantified. And for it to continue is still a desire.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like you're saying to me, I've already spoiled them. So it's too late. They can continue to exploit me.
Yeah, not exploiting me, by the way. It's just, I'm just trying to figure out how to get more.
Just in case someone does research on who I work with. Next thing you know, it's in the papers.
I mean, in that situation where being the best is already expected from you, you know, how do you negotiate then? You can't go anywhere further unless you work 50 hours a week.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference between being the best and giving them what they value. You see, being the best is just what you think is what they want.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah. But if you pay attention, they're often trying to talk you down from how hard you are on yourself and how much you push yourself. Am I right?
Yeah.
They do. They kind of try to talk you down a little bit because they want you to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Right. Also, sustainability is they have to stay competitive to pay you for what you do compared to what others in the marketplace would pay you for what you do.
Yeah.
That's just, do you know what I mean? Like
the
water will flow in a different path. If suddenly there's too much water banking up, it will go another path of resistance to keep flowing, right? So everybody has to be very mindful of their best staff and where they're at in their mindset and commitment to stay at work in their roles, right? And they've got their own ways to do that. One of them is keep them growing because it matters a lot to our staff, our best staff, that they're growing. So give them more initiatives like the leadership one you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that helps you stay there because you love learning, you love growing. And it's legitimate and you're becoming more valuable anyway to them and later to someone else. So they're helping you. They're giving you value in a different way. It's not just money, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So they've got their own ways to try to keep everyone engaged and loyal, right?
Yeah.
And generally we accept that we'll earn 10% less if we love where we are, even up to 20%, I guess. But we're comfort zone creatures, so we're better the devil, you know. Like, so if you're working in a place and you're making good money, you're not going to leave to an unknown where people could be rat bags for an extra 10% or even 15%. It just seems like a big risk that suddenly you had security and longevity and you just traded it for a speculative. Generally, we won't go. So they won't pay you equal unless your value proposition is too important to them, right? So they'll go, oh, we'll pay you this much, stay, because they know security is a real thing for most people, right? So it's a bargaining chip, right? But if you lose your security, like I did with radio, I actually didn't care. I was leaving, right? I'm going to resign. It's bored. I'm resigning. So they go, shit, we've lost our security bargaining chip. Now they had to negotiate with me without that. And I wasn't asking them for more money. I wasn't asking them to do me more favors. I was asking them to let me do it and have the freedom not to just sit there fluffing out an extra 2 days a week just because I was too efficient and my relationships were deep with my clients and I didn't need to work extra hard.
That's actually a really good point. The relationship with your clients smoothens the process to make you be more effective.
It does.
It does. I've noticed that in my life as well. Like there's some people who take 10 days to do it, whereas I can do it in 2 days with that person.
Because people are more, they care about not letting you down. They do what they say they do more often. If they drop the ball, they pick it up quickly with you.
Yeah.
Like all of that means you become more effective, more efficient. But yeah, relationships are huge.
It's huge.
And how do you value someone who is going out of their own way to be there, caring about their clients, going the extra mile to understand where they're at? I mean, my clients used to invite me to their birthday parties and special occasions. And so they were like family, you know? And
sound like an Italian mafia.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I left radio, I stayed close friends with a handful of them because that's genuine relationships.
Yeah.
Don't have to be just business. Like, you know, one of the things I really don't like when people do the wrong thing in business and they exploit you or they backstab you and they go, don't take it personally, it's just business. It's like, are you for real? You want to hide behind the word business and think you can have no morals, a lack of sustainable value exchange in your purpose, no creativity to not trash me for your advantage and therefore not angle for a win-win. And you're calling that it's just business?
It's terrible.
It's terrible. It really is. And so I always used to get triggered when people used to use this stupid phrase, it's just business. No, it actually isn't. You're just trash.
Yes, I agree with that. It's a lazy way out of actually, you know, maintaining that value exchange and like sort of exploring options for that person. It's literally just, it's an easy way out. I've had someone say that to me as well. We're in the business of making profits, not making friends. Therefore, this person we're gonna trash this person. And you're like, you know, at the time I was 21, I didn't understand that term, and now that you grow older, it's like there's no reason for you to treat anyone like shit and hide behind that facade of it's just business.
Yeah.
You know,
like I remember one guy, we were in a board meeting, we were bringing in an investor, and he goes, I don't care what anybody says. Business is just about making money. And I thought to myself, no, I'm not accepting this, because that's just trying to force business into a one-dimensional transactional relationship in the community. So the business, it just wants to make money, right? So I said to him, I go, look, I'm sorry, man. I don't accept that. I know that business has to have numbers, like you're saying. Business is about numbers and numbers are about making money. But there's so many other layers that you can care about in business to create meaningful relationships, serve the community, make good profit, and he got the shits with me in that boardroom meeting because he was trying to impress the 50 million net worth investor, and he got the shits with me, and I didn't care. I cared nothing for his views because I just got sick of people reducing business into this exploitive vehicle. Now, when you think about it, if you want to make money, you start a business, because a business is designed to follow rules to sell goods or services and make money back. So it is about making money. Otherwise, you'd create a foundation, a charity or something, but it's not about making money. It's about you raising resources just to keep serving. You know what I mean? There's no profit for shareholders. So I do get that business is about making money in that way. But if you really think about the win-win, does a business become great, become legacy because it was just focused on making money? No. It was focused on, well, how can we be amazing to our marketplace?
Yeah. How can we create that sustainable value?
How can we earn the loyalty?
Yeah.
And can we trick them? Well, that's going to be short. That's a
Short-lived.
short-run game. Can we trick them into believing that our product is better than another product by just adding a few bells and whistles that are bullshit and just, hyping that up with a sports personality they love, that they're going to blindly trust it? That's going to be a short-run game.
It is.
You know, you'll go up, and then people will get sick of the experience of the actual engagement versus the Kool-Aid marketing, and then it'll just eventually dwindle back. So, you know, you just gotta be more than that.
You got me thinking about Tesla, because remember, electric cars were deemed as, sorry to say this, but
Yeah,
I don't mean to be as a homophobe, but gay. You know, the Prius, you know, it was like, oh, you own a Prius, you're gay.
yeah,
And so Tesla came around, and notice in their marketing, they were only talking about the value to the customer. They said, look, number one, our cars are the cheapest EVs out there because we've figured out how to scale. And so it's going to be cheap for you, 30 grand or whatever it was at the time. It was unheard of. I think remember that when the first Tesla came out, the EV was 200K for the basic car. So anyway, they've lowered their price. So for you, it's good, cheap for you.
Yeah.
Number two, you don't have to do maintenance because you don't have to do that. But before, I've never heard this marketing from not marketing, but the word of mouth that spread.
Yeah.
You know, they use that, you know, I don't have to do marketing. And they made people feel like they were making the right decision.
Yeah.
I'm getting an EV because it's cheap. So they felt it was valuable to them.
And it's luxurious.
Yes.
Because before it was like you have to sacrifice design and luxury because you're saving the planet.
Yeah.
Now it's like, no, we're going to give you status.
Yeah.
And you're going to save the planet.
Correct. And then the simplicity, the simplistic design as well. You know, it came on the right time because I remember there was this video on Discovery. There was this lady who was just trying to simplify everyone's lives. She was a Japanese lady, and it became explosive. And there was also the book that
minimalism.
Yeah, minimalism. And so all of this, now they made it, there was at least 5 or 6 value propositions that you could relate with. And I never thought of business that way until I saw Tesla with their value proposition. Like when I sold bolsters, all I cared about was making money. I didn't care about the fact that it was a cultural heritage, you know, that we Asians have, or I didn't think, even now, I still haven't thought about why it was valuable, but I saw my son this morning hugging the bolsters. And, you know, that value of security that he has, you know, when he hugs it, there's all this value that you don't come, like the angle is the person. It is, the business is about creating value for that person. That's when they will buy it, you know, because, so that was a really foreign concept to me. And I think I'm starting to understand it now based on our discussions and my understanding of sustainable value exchange. It has really changed my brain to think about the person, even with this podcast. What are you getting from this? You know?
Yeah.
And it's just something that I've evolved to thinking more about now as I grow, as I age.
Do you know when we have these conversations, I hope that the listeners just go, I can relate to that. Oh my gosh, I'm getting stuck in the same way. Oh wow, those ideas are relevant to me because I can now see that I don't have to see it that way. I can see it this way, and that makes more sense to me. And now I want to be different in that situation. And then suddenly you're compelled to be different. And then suddenly you've just literally had a breakthrough just because of that awareness. And that awareness was given with enough context so that it was tangible to a situation to be different. And that's where I hope that these conversations, and that I give it my stories, you give your stories. So we're not just talking abstract. And that's what's good about where you say, yeah, but George, give me an example. Like, you know, it's like, let's ground this on the grass.
Yeah.
No mat between us and the cool grass. Let's get earthed on how does this play out in the real world. And it comes down to what we all want. We all want to matter, but we also all want to just feel like we have got less friction and less obstacles and less crap that prevents us from enjoying life.
It's about minimizing resistance.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So friction points. We're just trying to capture the friction points.
Understanding it and just seeing past it, you know, observing it and realizing it is what it is. It's not something that you are sort of destined, you know, like you wouldn't, it's things that you can't actually grow out of. I've had people who say, I can't do this, Azlan, because my thinking is like this. It's a disease that I have. And like, not really. you know, and having candid conversations to show them our own struggles. I have a lot of things that I have definitely improved on in the last year. I can name you 3 things that I've really changed my whole brain. And if the funny thing is, when you have that golden nugget, you automatically, that curiosity sparks you looking for more. It's not just a once off. You know, when you hit it, you go, okay, what can I do next? What can I do next? So yeah, anyway, that was just something that I thought about. The whole idea of value exchange has definitely cemented its way into my brain now this year.
Yeah, and then when you look at how it's so accepted that our society has ADHD. So we touched on a while ago.
Neuroplasticity, yeah.
Yeah. No, ADHD, which is our inability to stay focused on something, that we get easily distracted, right? And you think to yourself, well, hang on a minute. How are we going to create sustainable value exchanges if we can't even be present to understand someone deep enough to be of genuine value to them, but also know how to negotiate us being included in an exchange for it to be sustainable, where we win with them? Like we're losing at the front gate. It's like they're shutting the gate on us. They're saying, oh, there's something wrong with us. We are incapable of creating a meaningful life of sustainable value exchanges because we can't hold our brain on a purpose focus long enough to cut through the obstacles where it's win-lose.
But if it's win-win, they're like hyper-focused, you know.
And see. Now, this is the point. I haven't met anyone with ADHD who doesn't have strong purpose somewhere in their life where they don't seem to have a problem focusing, which tells you it's about strong purpose, right? But if your purpose is strong around protection because of your previous traumatic events that's made you on edge, and now it's hard to focus, then that is your purpose. Your purpose now is just to kind of stay safe. Well, ADHD, unfortunately, is the tool you reach for because you have to stay hypervigilant to everything that just might be relevant in harming you. So you don't want to focus on one thing because you think you're going to get blindsided by stuff around you, including missing out on other important stuff. So you feel like you're losing in life. Oh, that's something shiny. Is that precious? Is it gold? Have I just ripped myself off the money I need to survive? Because if it's shiny, it could be gold.
Or it could be a squirrel.
Or it could be something really entertaining and I'm malnourished of entertainment and it could entertain me for 5 seconds. I need to look at it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But purpose, shifting out of survival into a higher drive for meaning in life, that step is a conscious step. And then all the friction points that exist to keep you from going there is the personal development journey. Everything keeping you from a higher drive for purpose and into survival mode, you know, fear-based purpose. That is the journey.
And seeing it from that lens, I think that's where the juice is. In that, find your purpose, and you, with your ADHD, will sort of propel yourself to a point of no return, sort of thing. You know, because now instead of saying that you're lazy, you can't clean your house, you're always procrastinating, it's because you've not found something that's juicy enough for you to hyper focus and do great things. You know, and so yeah, that lacking of that purpose thing is, if you changed your angle and go, okay, what is, I think that has helped me a lot as well. I mean, not to say that I've got full-blown ADHD, but I notice now that my skill set is when I find purpose, oh my gosh, will I hyper-focus? And I'm on it non-stop. Like I'm like Eminem sort of thing, you know, I'll start just going off creatively.
Yeah.
Not time passes, you know, and like even weekends, it's like, let's do it. You know, let's edit this video, let's do that, let's put this in, and it becomes like a joyful thing where you have purpose. You know, I'm teaching, I'm helping people, you know, through this podcast. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I also think that when you look closely at making life meaningful, you realize that it can be fun. Like you can layer lots of layers of purpose. Like it's like, for example, if I'm going to watch a Netflix show, to relax. But then I hear, the opening music and it puts me in a mood, and then I want to write a song instead. So now in that hour and a half that I would have watched that Netflix show, I create a song, right? Now, but that song is me stimulating my creativity, and that I have dedicated my life. And with EP7, we're asked to dedicate our life in steps 3 and 4 of the 7 steps, which is creativity and intuition. Do things daily through your lifestyle choices that help you continue to develop yourself creatively and intuitively, right? So already I love being creative because I know it's good for me and it's going to make me even better. Secondly to that, I write about something that matters to me, something that I've never really honored and cared about how I feel about it, and then find ways to articulate it in a way that can really reach me and then eventually reach people. So there's another 2 layers of reaching me, emotionally validating myself, but then the other layer of other people feeling like they related. It's like I was in the car the other day in Sydney, and I was playing some tracks to my first cousin's son, and we're all really close, right? And keeping him confidential who he is, right?
Sure.
And he hears the song Rock Bottom, and what was the other song? Anyway, can't remember. But he Rent Free in Your Head. And he goes, I really like those because the lyrics were about where I'm at, and it mattered a lot to him. And he it's like he wanted to keep listening to them because of that, And I'm thinking to myself, I got to enjoy giving him something where he was going, oh, like he was having reactions to the lyrics. These are moments for me that are meaningful because it means I created something that mattered to me, but then it was a vehicle to help someone I matter to them in what I've given them, but also they get to go on a journey of them mattering to themselves based on what they were experiencing in the song. Now, I say all this because it's multi-purposed, all right? See how many layers are in that?
Yeah.
Creativity, intuition
Meaning.
too, me validating myself, my journey, enjoying, understanding myself deeper, creating something I'm proud of that is entertaining, suddenly entertaining someone else, but also taking them on a meaningful journey. Then all of that capability translates into the supernova OS that eventually will generate your own music based on the work you're doing on yourself, to keep growing. Like layers and layers of, I call that multi-purpose tasking.
The 2 things that you mentioned that was so important about your cousin, your niece or nephew, or your cousin, your first cousin, was the value that they gave to them.
Actually, I'm his godfather.
Oh, godfather.
Yeah.
The value that it created for them. I tell you why that's important.
Yeah.
My humor on my Instagram.
Yeah.
What's missing is that piece.
Yeah.
It brings me a lot of joy to do it, but I feel it's useless for the viewer. So
why do you think that?
Because the things that I do on that thing it's just the most random thing. And for me, it gives me joy because when I'm in a good state, all these ideas come, and I get Instagram's like an outlet for me to go crazy.
Yeah.
It's like an outlet for me to experience that child. But then I do not post as much because I don't feel it has any value, any meaning to the listener. So, which is bizarre, but that's what's missing. I just realized in the cycle. It is that value to the other person. I've downplayed it so badly to the point where I go, this is not going to help an Asian person. This is not going to help a doctor. This is not going to help. But that's the thing that I have to figure out now. How does this help? And it's always just, like you say, a context shift, of
True.
Why does this? I have never really thought about it. I just smashed it based on what teachers used to say to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Azlan, this is useless. This is not going to help you at all. And so now you just made me realize I'm posting one video, a clip a week for this, a day for this, because I see value in helping people. Whereas in my YouTube, I've just went 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off, 1 week off, 2 weeks off. It has no pull. So you got me real. That's the important thing about what you just said is the value to the person, the multi-layer thing.
Okay, so I want to talk about balance, and I want to talk about diversity for experience, right? Like we value having different things in our life. something serious, something not so serious,
Mm-hmm.
something comforting, something adventurous. Like we just love balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did say to you a few weeks ago is like, come on, man, bring in the segment of Biohack of the Week and put a skit that you created that could be related to a theme we're talking about or not, but at least there's some comic relief. And the reason why I say that is this. Often you and I we're talking about stuff that's serious, meaningful. It's about getting your heart satisfied. It's about getting out of situations where your well-being is being impacted. Kind of can start to sound a little bit too serious.
Too heavy.
Right? And it's not heavy for the person that needs to hear it because it's like, they're getting uplifted. They've been given a light to be different, to break through. So I get that. But at the same time, you and I need to enjoy the journey, and they need to have we should be a bit more multidimensional, and we should add the color of your skits and the biohack examples. We're cracking jokes between us, but we really should be adding that. It's so important.
Yeah.
And even if it makes them laugh.
Let me try that for this episode. Let me figure out a skit for this episode, and I'll just try to get into the rhythm of it because I still have a lot of childhood trauma that I need to figure out.
I have a strange feeling you'll do something about childhood trauma. Turn it on its head.
That's a good one. But yeah, I mean, slowly, I need to get into the habit of seeing value in that piece. And that's the way I struggle because of just teachers telling me it's useless. So yeah, constantly. But now it doesn't have to be that way anymore. I'm going to change. I'm going to figure out another way. And it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a journey for sure. It's like gym. When you first go in for the first 6 months, you're like, ugh. And then you tailor it, find ways to make it easier. Do I have to really do heavy weights? No, I don't. I just have to do power. Like you figure out your way. So now I'm on that journey now with this comic stuff. We'll get there. So yeah, that was actually a very good observation that you made and that taught me something about myself.
Yeah.
So, that's what your music did, essentially.
What? It did what?
Your music, the way that's the value. The story of just telling your music and how it impacted your godson has helped me realize what's missing in my puzzle.
Yeah.
So just writing those two songs helped me realize that, and it's a big piece that I found missing. So
had I written? No, I didn't. I didn't share this song with you, right? I was on the plane, okay, and something happened, and it triggered me to write a song.
Right.
And it ended up being called Entity Politics. So instead of identity politics,
right,
I trumped our identity and took it to a higher vibration of entity politics. You see, entity is your dynamic you that can take on any identity. And the ideas that shape the identity, see there's entity and ideas in the word, is because you are the entity that enters whatever ideas into a form called an identity, right? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to write a song to celebrate that awareness and to take someone through a journey that's a bit more meaningful than the bullshit politics we're living with every day, identity politics, where you have to belong to some tribal identity that carries on like a pork chop, and is extreme on one side and demonizes the other and vice versa. Demonizes one side. I should articulate sometimes instead of just cutting corners on my words. Yeah. And so I wrote this song, and then I decided to create a really cool acid jazz, Afrobeat, R&B, like super cool. Something similar to Incognito, Brand New Heavies, Young Disciples, the kind
reggae.
of not reggae. The kind of stuff you hear in the Buddha bar compilations.
Oh, yeah.
That's that kind of music where it's in really cool cafes.
Yes.
And it just makes you go, oh, I like this track.
Yeah.
And it's just track after track, and it's all super cool. So I reckon we should play this as the out of our podcast today.
Yeah, sure.
Entity Politics. It is so cool. Like, I'm looking forward to sharing it with you.
Let's do it now.
And so for me, it's a treat for me when I share with you because I see the way you decide to just be centered and go on a journey with the song. And then you you actually do listen to the lyrics and you see, and then you give me good feedback around the phrasing, for example.
Yeah.
Don't give me too much words, right? But what I've done here is this particular one, it has contrast. It takes you on a little bit of words and then it backs off into really cool, jammy, emotional, phrasing. And then it gives you a bit more lyrics and then it expands again and slows down. So it contracts and expands because I'm literally dealing with an existential topic about who we are, but in a way that just makes you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Have I built enough intrigue about the song?
Yes, I have.
All right.
Yes, you have. And I'm curious now. So,
all right. So
let's do this now.
All right.
Ooh, loving the vibe.
Told ya.
Bossa Nova, sort of.
Energy and a state to be, eternal becoming, dynamic and free, entity flowing into ideas for the being, shaping identity into forms, experimenting. Who am I? Am I who decides who I am? Ever changing, existential rearranging. Going in deep, am I there to be found? Or am I a portal into all to be found? The known being in the mystery, forever unraveling. All that I am is beyond the view. All that I am, a creator views. All that I am birthed from the power of love. All that I am and have is enough. That's entity politics. Intensity politics. That's entity politics. Breathe in the take, breathe out the give. Pulsing to expand, pulsing to live. Scenes and scripts, plots and twists. Where you go, free will predict. Who am I? Am I who decides who I am? Ever changing, existential rearranging. Going in deep, am I there to be found? Or am I a portal into all to be found? The known being in the mystery, forever unraveling. All that I am is beyond the view. All that I am, a creator views. All that I am, birthed it from the power of love. All that I am and have is enough. That's entity politics, entity politics. That's entity politics, entity politics. So why is it so hard to know this truth? Feel it deeply, allow it to rule. Can you embody without ignorance? Can you have unity without the severance? Are we diving into all ways of being to expand into the all-knowing? I look at us and I see the shared beauty through our choices of what do we see, what do we be, interacting here with optional beliefs. Who are we? Are we who decides who we are? Ever changing, existential rearranging. Going in deep, are we there to be found? Or are we portals into all to be found? The known being in the mystery, forever unraveling. All that we are is beyond the view. All that we are, creator of views. All that we are on the power of love. And all that we are and have is enough. That is up to who? That's entity politics. Entity politics. It's entity politics. Entity politics. The party of truth.
I love this. This is such a good song. It's like it's explaining where it just summarizes, censor. It basically summarizes what we've just talked about. I love how you swapped that around as well. Like, you had that male voice. How did you do it? Like, there was one part where it just says, did you just put
Yes, I
really?
did. I did like 7 A's and a few H's.
It's brilliant.
And because at that point I was philosophically saying, could we have unity without severance? In other words, without being disconnected and separated. Like, could we have wisdom without ignorance? In other words, man, we're just being human, learning how to be all these things to make us all knowing. You can't know everything without living the contrast of being stuck, of being confused, being fearful, You can't know love without hate, even. So here I am, like in a song, creating a philosophical, big kind of, can you really accept all the human journey? And I went, now I don't want to say anything. I just want to slow it down and just,
I see what you did there.
I just wanted to pause. And then when I was running, sometimes AI gives me what I'm feeling and imagining in my mind, and it nailed it on that point.
Yeah.
On that. I did have several other versions that didn't, but that one did nail that part. But I also like this version for its completeness, vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
Coolness.
I love the vibe. I love the words as well. It's who are you? Like you're full of love and you're just trying to, like you said, navigate.
Yeah.
You navigate through the different sort of contrasts and trying to figure out where you are at the end.
And when lyrics come out of me that quick, I always know they're going to be better lyrics, And so like when he chimes in again near the end and he says, we're just playing with optional beliefs. Like that phrase for me popped. It's like, oh, wow. Yeah. Beliefs are optional.
Assumptions are optional.
Optional beliefs. How freeing is that? It's like, do I like my beliefs? Or am I going to glue in as if they're me? Or am I going to treat them like they're optional, which means I can change any of them that don't suit the sustainable value exchange? They don't resonate deeply with me for who I want to be. It's like the self-hate issue. It's like, what a dumb idea. In entity politics, you enter an idea that you should hate yourself. But you are not that. You're just experiencing life with the idea.
Right.
Of thinking you don't belong in existence. They're just tolerating you existing.
Yeah.
And therefore, what a shame you didn't measure up. You don't really belong in the beauty of existence.
Yeah.
And that you're probably going to get quashed at some point. And what a shame. And see, you're just not good enough. You should hate yourself. You tried to be good enough. You tried to, hey, look at me, universe. I could be what? And then you just didn't jump through enough hoops or high enough hoops, and therefore you get to hate yourself.
You don't matter. Coming to that conclusion.
As an entity, you can pull out of that nonsense. But if you don't have entity politics, then you are subjected to the politics of people telling you who you are.
Yep.
What are you? Red, blue, Labor, Liberal, Democrat, Republican? Everyone's trying to put you into a tribe. And then in our customs, in our culture, we're raised, here you are, here are the ideas that interconnect of who you are. You got to be afraid of shoes upside down because God is up and hell is down. Like everything is just so oversimplified so that we can navigate pseudo meaning, like meaning that's meant to be meaningful, but really when you scratch the surface, it falls apart. That's why I love this song so much, because it says, no, we're going to pull out of that nonsense and we're going to find existence with you as an entity that can be anything.
Right.
And beliefs are optional. But love the beliefs that honor the connection, create the sustainable value exchange, make you proud of who you're choosing to be in life, in existing with those around you. And so now it's love-based, it's not fear-based anymore. You've transcended the biology, the primal, and you've embraced your spiritual side, And I think if you look at religions, you realize that they all offered threads of trying to get there, but we as humans just corrupted those threads and made it more power-hungry bait, religion lost its way for me personally, which is why I had to tap out of religion. I gave a few a good crack, and I just had to tap out. But at the same time, I didn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater there either. I wanted to look closely at them and go, what made them so powerful? What made them withstand hundreds of years of existence, thousands of years? And I saw the beauty in them. And I go, well, all right, but that beauty is not in, they don't have a real estate on the domain of that beauty. That is just truth that transcends all religions,
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened to me with my own journey.
I'm just got so many things that I'm thinking about now, about that whole, the track.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the false assumptions and the optional beliefs, Like
Yeah.
even the fact that what we just spoke about before about, me thinking that it's not of value to anyone, my humor.
Yeah, that's an optional belief for
That
sure.
was definitely optional.
Oh,
belief.
you know what? I kept forgetting to say this, but I was meaning to say this. Please don't underestimate laughter.
Yeah.
Do you know how much bullshit we're all putting up with every day? The pressure valve is real.
Yes.
And laughter is that moment where the spirit gets to say, I can have a holiday from that bullshit. And you are depriving people with your humor. You're keeping your skits away from people, thinking that there is no legitimate value to just cracking them up.
Yeah. It can be. It's funny. This is not enough. This is too simple. Although it makes people laugh. Like if you think about all the funny stuff on TikTok or anywhere, like they're the most simplest stuff that make you laugh. But for me, I'm like, you got to put on more effort. And the funny trick about doing that is when you put more effort, it becomes less genuine. Or as opposed to the simplicity.
So when I said to you, the lyrics that come out the quickest are the obviously easiest, but they're the most meaningful.
Yeah,
because I didn't overthink them.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's why that song sort of. I was thinking about what you said, and the value of laughter. I do it too. Like at the end of my day, I look for the simplest, most ridiculous Instagram ones that are the most ridiculous things, and I laugh, and I'm like, oh, that's so funny. I love the internet, and I could be that person in that thing, giving myself the laughter. I didn't see it that way. I didn't see the value of it. But now I can see. Yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll just I'll probably need some time to rearrange my beliefs because it's not like a one-day thing, where you get years of, believing that that's useless and now you suddenly can change and suddenly start spitting out skits every day. But we'll figure it out. At least I've got that framework to work with now, that contextual shift. Yeah, so that was useful. I have a hard stop at 11:30, so I think.
Well, I think we've landed the plane really well right now. Thank you for joining us. We didn't know what we were going to talk about, but we managed to talk about a lot.
It's in our nature, guys, just to ramble. But I hope you guys enjoyed the segment, and we'll see you guys next week. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now. Thank you for joining the Reinvent You show.
And remember, don't take yourself or life too seriously.